Hey everybody, it's me, Double D again. Feeling a little down in the dumps, so I thought I'd read a story that I wrote for my niece about close to almost 20 years now. Anyways, I wrote this story and I tried getting it, published, but I got a huge stack of rejection letters. And figured what the heck, I'm waiting for the go cut my hair, and I thought I'd just do this real quick. It's called the Chairmaker. Forgive me, if I trip over my own tongue, I do that. I have it written here on my laptop. Yeah. And please enjoy. As I said, I wrote this for my niece, my princess, a long time ago. Uncle David loves you. Mom misses you. Moving on. Here we go. The Chairmaker by me. Once upon a time, long, long ago, and far away, there was an old chairmaker. He was very talented. He made every kind of chair, from the most beautiful chair for a noble to a simple stool which he used while he worked. Every day he would sit in his shop and build his chairs and carve the wood backs with decorations while whistling a jaunty tune, for he was never happier than when he was lost in his work. At night, though, he would sit alone in his small room at the rear of the shop and eat his simple meal. Now in the rear of the shop sat an odd chair covered by a tarp. It was a special made chair ordered by a newlywed couple. It was a chair with two connecting seats and lovingly carved with hearts and cherubs. The old chairmaker was very proud of his creation and had poured all his love into the making. But every time he sat in it, it always felt slightly uncomfortable. No matter how much he sanded it, it always was slightly off. The old chairmaker figured it was just him, so he set it in the rear and covered it over. But the couple had never returned for the chair, and he couldn't bear to throw it out, so he just set it back for years. Allow me to reread that. I screwed that up. So there it sat in the back for years. One day, as the old chairmaker was working near the front of the shop, he noticed a new shop opening across the lane. He saw what it was by the newly painted sign hanging outside. A pillow shop. And as he was watching out his window and contemplating the sign, the owner came out the door to set up a display, and the old chairmaker lost all thought from his mind. Now, to the most folk, she was just a plain woman with no special notice. The kind of woman you pass every day in the street and take no notice. I used notice too much there. I apologize. But to the old chairmaker, she was the most radiant, beautiful woman he had ever seen. A few moments later, he began to feel dizzy and realized he hadn't breathed since she had come out, and he had dropped his carving tool on the floor. His heart nearly stopped when she turned and looked into his shop and noticed him staring. She smiled and turned back into her shop, and the old chairmaker, embarrassed, went back to work, though he couldn't get her out of his mind. For the first time that night, as the old chairmaker sat alone in his small room, eating his simple meal, did he realize just how lonely he was. The next day, early in the morning, as he was preparing to start his first chair, a nobleman entered his shop. He told the chairmaker that his wife's birthday was soon and he wanted a special chair for her. So the chairmaker sat in his place by the door thinking of what to do when he spied the pillow maker through her shop window, and inspiration struck. He sat down and lost himself in his work. He worked day and night carving special designs on the chair and pouring his love into it. The next day, the nobleman returned and was stunned by the beautiful creation of the chairmaker. Speechless, he paid for the chair and with glee took it home to his wife, who loved it, and to this day it's a family heirloom that's still cherished and awed at, but that is a different story. When the nobleman told the king of this great creation, the king was impressed, for he knew the nobleman's wife was very picky. She was, after all, his sister. So the king sent for the old chairmaker. When the old chairmaker arrived, the king told him that he had heard of his great talent and wanted him to build him a new throne. The old one made his back hurt if he sat in it for too long. The chairmaker examined the throne. It was a large wooden throne on the plain side. The king told him that if the new throne pleased him, that he would reward him greatly. The old chairmaker was excited. If he was successful, maybe he could work up the courage to speak to the pillow maker across the lane. So the old chairmaker returned home to get to work. First he got the best wood he could find and the sturdiest nails. Then with a look across the lane for inspiration, went to work. He worked for 2 days constructing the throne, and almost twice as long carving the armrest into mighty lions, and the back into the most elegant scroll work that can be carved into wood. When he was done, he sent the throne to the palace and retired to his room to rest. The next day he was awakened by a loud banging on the door. It was the palace guard returning the throne. They told him that the king's back still hurt, so the chairmaker assured them he would fix it and went back to work, sanding and retooling the wood all day and night. The next night he sent it back to the palace, and the day after, again, the throne came back with word that the king was displeased. Now the old chairmaker was stumped and saddened deeply. Why that he couldn't get it right. As he sat slumped on his stool near the door, the bell above it announced customers clanged, and without looking up, he said he was closed. Then he heard what sounded to him like angels singing, and turned to see the pillow maker standing in the door. He had to shake his head so that he could hear what she was saying. It seemed that she needed a stool for her shop. The old chairmaker quickly got up and returned to the rear to fetch one. When he returned, she told him that she had noticed that he seemed very sad, and asked what was wrong. Carefully he explained his problem to her. After he was done, she looked at the throne for a few minutes, and then with a smile left his shop. He returned a few moments with an elegant golden satin pillow, and laid it upon the throne, and triumphantly smiled at the chairmaker. The simplicity of the answer struck the chairmaker, but slowly a smile grew upon his face, and he quickly sent the throne back to the palace. When the king sat upon the new throne, he smiled and declared the chairmaker official chairmaker of the king. From then on, when anyone passed the old chairmaker's shop, they would see in the window the greatest chairs, and upon them brightly colored pillows. And in the rear of the shop sits an odd chair, with 2 seats, lovingly carved with hearts and cherubs, and upon the seat rest 2 worn pillows, for they get a lot of use, and never felt uncomfortable to the chairmaker and his wife, the pillow maker. The end. Moral of the story is that every chair needs a soft pillow. Well, that was my story. Sorry I slumped over a few words, and sometimes when I'm reading, I read faster than my brain ticks. But I hope you enjoyed. I know, a lot of redundant words used there. I did write this a long time ago. I just wanted other people to hear it too. Thank you, and good night. Double D out.